you were Mr. USA, right? In 2014. Like, it only took you a year.
Yeah, 12 months exactly from my first competition.
What?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Bored and Curious. I'm your host, Mary Katz. My guest today is a two-time Olympian, entrepreneur, bodybuilding coach, and 2014 Mr. USA. His name is Ryan Hinton, and he has coached over 1,000 clients in the bodybuilding industry. In this episode, he talks about what it takes to win as a competitor, the importance of mindset, motivation, and discipline, how the pandemic shook up the industry, and much more. We'll also get to know Ryan a little better with some fun personal questions like, what's one item on your bucket list? But before we go any further, go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel and hit the bell to be notified when more episodes and clips are uploaded. Alrighty, let's get started.
All right, so Ryan, welcome to Bored and Curious. We have been friends for, I don't want to do math, but roughly 15 years. And you're one of the more interesting people that I know. So I wanted to at least kind of get your take on your career path and life and whatnot. And I mean, hopefully we'll be a little serious, but we'll keep it light. We'll keep it fun. And well, I guess we'll learn some stuff. It was crazy that as I was writing these questions, I was like, how do I not know these things?
Yeah.
So one thing that I've admired about you is that you you've definitely forged your own path. A lot of people, they graduate college and then they just go to work somewhere. And you did that for a while, but then you decided to get into bodybuilding, which is, I'm going to take it back just a step from that. And we'll get into that in just a minute. But I can't imagine that little bitty baby Ryan at 4 years old wanted to be a bodybuilder.
Right. So, no, not at all.
So what did you want to be when you were a little feller?
Career-wise, I was typical, just like, at some point in elementary school, I wanted to be an astronaut, and then I quickly learned, and once I realized I didn't really care for school and astronauts have to go to school for all these years, I was like, well, forget that. And then it was like, well, yeah, I'm going to go to the NFL, so that won't be a problem. I just got to go to college to get there. So that was really my mindset at, probably 12, 13. But personality-wise, I always knew I was different and did things on my own terms, always. So it didn't matter if I did the same things as people. My approach was always different. And then when I got to college, I went to college for track. I didn't go to college for school. I went to college just to get out and do something. And so no matter what I do or I'm going to do, it's going to be a little different than the norm and what's popular, which, as you said, just getting a degree and working a job, I knew wasn't for me, even though I was still pursuing that. Just being lost at 18, 19, 20 years old, not really knowing what I'm going to do anyway, because, well, I didn't make it to the NFL, didn't even play college football. So, and then just always been in athletics. I didn't get my first real gym membership until I was probably after college, so 24, 25 probably. And then, people just approaching me in the gym all the time, asking me if I'm getting ready for a competition, do you compete? And then I'm like, no, I just, I've always, and, you guys, like you said, little bitty Ryan, in my head, I wasn't little back then. But I look at myself now, 20 pounds heavier, and I'm like, man, I'm small. So, yeah, that was just kind of like my thought process throughout those years.
I remember, like, after college, you're like, I'm supposed to be at work, but I'm in Miami.
Yes, 100% the worst employee. And I knew it then, and, even more so now. Like, I'd be fired on the first day or so, going through, they're bringing you through orientation, and I'm just like, this is so stupid. I'm not doing that. Why? And then when I really broke it down to, you have your hourly pay or your salary, when you really break it down to what you're making and what it's taking away from you. At one point I was like, you're making a few bucks a day. you can't even live in the United States off of that, you know, off of, you know, I don't know, 60, 70, 80, 90 bucks a day. I mean, yes, you can frugal, but not for the life I wanted to live. I'll say that.
Yeah. So when you say what it's taking away, do you mean just from like taxes and retirement stuff, or did you mean just like from your literal, like your life?
My life. And I'm talking about what I'm taking home after taxes. That number that you actually get in your hand, and you decide what you're going to do with it, whether you're going to eat McDonald's or Ruth Chris, whether you're going to get premium gas or unleaded, right? Whether you go to Miami or the Motel 6 around the corner. Yeah, but what it takes from your life. And, you know, I didn't get to decide who I worked with. I didn't get to decide. Well, I guess technically I did, but not really. It was like whatever job I can get, whoever hires me, I just have to deal with those people. So when you put a dollar amount on that, it's like, what is that worth to you? It wasn't worth it to me.
When I think about bodybuilders, I think of the giant guys that look like, you know, like rhinos on a stage. But you didn't go that route. Tell me what that is versus the bodybuilding that people have in mind.
Yeah, so I didn't either. And I kind of started glancing at magazines probably in 2010, 2009. And then 2011, they came out with Men's Physique. And because I had never had any desire to want to be that big like the guys you're talking about. When this came out, I was like, ooh, what is this? You know, they kind of look like just somebody you'd see on the beach, has nice abs, and they're not super huge. They're just in shape. And I already looked like that, but just a little more crispy looking or sharp. So when I saw that came out, that's when I started watching. My brother did it that year in 2011. And the first year I watched him, I was at the show and I was like, I could never do this. I saw the diet he was eating and all this. And I was like, yeah, no way. Second year, I went to the same competition. I'm looking like, I look better than these guys right now. Like, I can win this. Like, it was a crazy mindset. I think I just started paying more attention and, you know, started figuring things out with diet and stuff. And I was like, dude, I literally just had like, it was Easter. And I'm like, I ate all that food and I still look better than these people. So then the third year was when I finally competed. And yeah, Men's Physique is just a more attainable look. It's just your, I don't know, looks like it's an athletic look. I'll say that.
Yeah. So that's interesting. You say it didn't even start until 2011. So it's approaching its 10th anniversary then. Wow.
Yeah, this will be 10
but
years.
Then, so your brother competed, you said that year, right? And then you competed that third round of like that year wise. So that was,
yeah.
Do you know how crazy it is then that you were Mr. USA, right? In 2014, like it only took you a year.
Yeah, 12 months exactly from my first competition.
What? Like, so either you're a genetic marvel or you just got really dedicated or some mix thereof.
Definitely a mix because the training is, again, it's stuff I had always done. I didn't have to do anything very different. It's just, it was really, at that point, it was just my diet, you know, and I got with a coach that at the time was, I just asked people what coach is turning people pro? Who is doing the thing that I need? And aligned myself with him, and yeah, it was 12 months. And then, yeah, genetically, I mean, I didn't, especially now that I look back, I didn't have the greatest genetics, but I did have a good foundation that I had been just from being an athlete and running track and always lifting weights since I was 13 years old. So that helped. Yeah. More than the genetics, I'll say.
So you wanted to compete because you thought, this is something I could do, I could win, or was that the only reason, or why did you start competing? Because I mean, from what I understand, it's not a cheap process.
Oh yeah, I spent every single penny I ever made those years. Every single penny. Every single penny. But yeah, I saw it as a business opportunity, and I saw it as an industry that I could get in and on my own terms. You know, there wasn't like, oh, you have to go to school for all these years and get all these certifications. That really doesn't define you as a good person to coach or train someone or whatever. You know, you can start a business in anything that you want and be great, and you don't have to go through an institution to do so. And so I saw, you know, all these people, you know, doing really well, whether it be on social media, but just through fitness, period. So I saw it as a platform that I could at least get started in. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I needed to get into it to find what I wanted to do.
So how did you make that switch from competing, and I guess some people try to rely on sponsorships depending on what kind of sponsorships are available, to coaching?
Yeah.
What flipped the switch there?
So when I first got with my coach, and I remember our first conversation in person, and I asked him, because he had been in the industry, and I said, how do you make money in this industry? What are the avenues? And he told me, you know, there's really only 3 ways. And, you know, the sponsorship deal, I look at it as you're still like a contracted employee, you know, with, you know, you might get 12 months. And then I found out the money really isn't what people think it is. You know, if you're getting $500 to $1,000 a month, that's, I mean, unless you're top 1 or 2 in the world in your category, most people weren't getting that way as far as competitors. I know one particular individual that was top 5 in the world, top 4. And the following year I asked him, I'm like, are you sponsored? He said, I've never been sponsored. I've never,
Wow.
nothing. And he had never even gotten any offers. So, so once I realized that, and I saw how much my coach was charging, and I'm like doing the math, like, whoa, people pay that? Okay. So from right then, I knew before I even started that journey, I knew I wanted to be a coach. So I just studied coaches.
Okay. You're coaching, and I remember at one point you had, I think you had maybe 20, 30 athletes, and you felt like your schedule was just jammed. And then one of the next times we talked, you're like, I got like 80 now. And I'm like, how did you were jammed at 30? How did you, what did you have to change to make your own process, I guess, more efficient, to make it all work better for you so you could take on more?
It was a smooth transition for me. You know, for one, like when I had the 20 or 30 you were saying, I was still working. It was pretty much part-time, and I wasn't working that much, but it's like, you know, I don't need to be here. And I was also had kind of already hit what I wanted to do, or achieved what I wanted to achieve as a competitor at the time. So competing was also kind of getting put on the back burner, and coaching was every month replacing that passion more and more. And so probably the first thing well, kind of 2 things happened first. I ended up getting fired because I just stopped going to work. So they fired me. And then, and then a few months after that, I pretty much just slowly just stopped going to the gym completely. And I even told my athletes, I'm like, guys, I don't want to compete anymore. I want to focus on y'all. And so it just like took off and multiplied. And that's why, you know, when we talked when we were 80, it was like, that's when it felt like great. And, you know, I wake up, I do this on my time, on my hours. And I was okay with that for, you know, probably 3 years I was around that.
And even at that, on your own time, on your own hours, I know that's also probably gotten a bit crazy, just because you take on so much, and you get so many people from different countries. I remember one time you said you had been awake. I mean, you had worked from like 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. or it was something crazy like that. And I'm like, what in the newborn baby schedule is going on?
Yeah, 2 or 3. Yeah, that was probably 2 years ago almost, when like people in the Eastern Hemisphere really started hiring me. And yeah, I was used to working like till about midnight, and then, you know, they started hiring me. So midnight at my time is about the time everybody's waking up over there on that side. So I'll just keep going, because I'm like, if I don't get to them now, it's going to be 8 hours. Like, it's just perpetual. It would never stop. So I did that because it was one of those things where I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm just going to do it. And I'm just going to go. I'm just going to keep going until I figure out what I need, because that's just my personality. I'm not one that's going to like plan for, well, in a few months, some people from overseas are going to start hiring me. So I need to set this in place. I'm like, let me just take it on and figure it out. And so now at this point, the next step after that is having coaches under you. So now I have 3 coaches, 1 international coach, and 2 here in the States. And that's been really good for me to handle the volume. So it's because I'm not necessarily always taking people on, I can pick and choose when I'm taking someone on, or I can just place them with one of my coaches who are highly capable of getting the same results as me.
In regards to getting results, that's a pretty good segue here. What's going to separate a good athlete from one that is like they're bound to win?
Ooh. Well, some things people want to hear, some people don't want to hear. So what's going to separate? It's a few things. It's not one thing. It cannot be one thing, because a lot of people just say genetics. Well, I have some people with the phenomenal genetics and have a shitty mindset, and they can't do anything in bodybuilding. I have people with phenomenal mindsets and shitty genetics. Still a hard process, but you combine the two and you have a dangerous individual. That's hard to come by. But those 2 things, the genetics and just someone that has the mindset to do what's necessary to achieve a goal, that's a dangerous combination, but rare.
One thing that I've heard you talk about before is how your coaching approach is different than a lot of other coaches. A lot of coaches are just focusing on, I guess, diet and exercise, whereas you take a more holistic approach. I understand you have recommended that your athletes either read self-help books or go to therapy, like get your mind right, because that's a huge component. So when you say mindset, how do you approach your athletes in that regard?
Yeah, that's everything. It's very easy, and I even do it myself sometimes. It's very easy to look at somebody successful. You look at their social media or what they have right now, and our assumption is, wow, it was an easy path. They did this, they did that, everything went right, and all these great things happened to them. But not everybody broadcasts their struggles, their daily struggles or monthly struggles, or people don't always broadcast their divorces or the death of loved ones that you have to deal with that can happen in the midst of something very strong that you're working on. So, and it's, you can call it self-loathing or pity, but everybody handles struggle differently. And I think if you can understand other people and ways to get through that and around that, and understand that these people went through equal to or worse things than you and still made it happen, it's just a really good reminder. So personal development books, understanding why you tick, what makes you tick, why you are the way you are, understanding like maybe if you're not motivated, why you're not motivated, what it is to address it. Because yes, you have diet, nutrition on training and all this, that's fantastic. But if you can't dial it all the way in, like some people don't understand, like I don't know why I'm not sleeping. I can't sleep good at night. Their stress levels are so high. I don't know why. I don't believe that I can achieve in bodybuilding. Like a lot of people don't believe it. And so if you don't believe that you can do something, why would you even work towards it? Why would you wake up and go to the gym and train hard and eat your meals? Why would you do that if you really didn't believe it? You don't. And so that level of beliefs comes from here. And I can give you the best diet and the best training, and it's all irrelevant if you can't apply it every day and consistently.
And touching on that, the mindset portion of things, along came COVID. And I remember when the news broke out about a pandemic coming and lockdowns and stuff. I remember you posted it, I think it was an Instagram video or something. You took it as an overall challenge for everybody, because shutdowns were coming, there weren't going to be any competitions. And how did you approach your athletes, like beyond the video? Like how did you approach your athletes in regards to how they needed to handle that?
Yeah, that was a fantastic, that went right in line with what I just said. Is like, okay, you think other people are successful because they're in better situations than you and they don't have to deal with, well, guess what? Now we're all in this situation, all of us. We're all dealing with lockdowns and having to work out at home. And right, so now we are. So now the cream's going to rise to the top. We're going to really see. Nobody's going to be able to make excuses now. So what the biggest thing I did is we started doing Zoom calls, which I'd never done. So talking to the team on a weekly basis, like making sure, hey, you guys are good. Like, yeah, coach, I'm here. I'm in this country. We're shut down. I'm still working hard. And they're like, oh man, my teammates are out there. They're in a worse situation than I am. Like, wow, at least my gym's open, with like shortened hours. Their gyms aren't open at all. Or, it's cold there, but at least I get to do my cardio inside and I'm not running out in 20-degree weather. Like there's always somebody executing in a better situation. So I just kind of brought them together as a group so they can see like, hey, we are in this together. We're going to bang this out. And like, you're part of Team Legacy. I want you to be proud of it and show that you can get through all struggles. Like you have a stronger mindset than most people.
And that's actually a perfect segue here. You call your team Team Legacy. How did you settle on that name? Like, what does it mean to you? And what other names did you consider?
Yeah, well, originally, people I didn't even make this. Everyone just started Team Hinton. One of my buddies had a shirt made. Mike Ollis was sponsoring me. He had a little business and, he had these Team Hinton shirts made. And that was when I first started coaching. And it always I'm like, yeah, Team Hinton, that's cool. Like I'm competing for me, but like everyone competes for a real reason. Like my athletes don't compete for me. They compete for themselves. And so my mom came up with the idea of Team Legacy because, legacy is like a strong word for our family. But that's us. So, and I also realized like, hey, everybody has their own legacy and everybody wants to do something for a reason. Everybody has a business idea. Everybody wants to do something for their family. So legacy is not about Ryan Hinton. It's about you and whatever you want to make it. And I realized that if you help people get what they want, you can have what you want. Like I'm fine. But legacy, like, okay, what do you want to do outside of bodybuilding? Well, I'm passionate about this, that, and that, because I just noticed that people that obsess over bodybuilding and go and get a trophy and get to a certain level, and that's all you have, like there's no substance, there's nothing behind it, you'll quit very easily. You're very emotional about it, which is, a subjective sport. So you don't know your outcome. You can't, it's not like us. You just can decide, well, I'm gonna place this place is, I'm gonna get third place this weekend. I'm gonna get first place this weekend. You can hope, but there's 7 other people that have to make that decision. So just controlling on what you can control, the legacy thing is very powerful because people hold on to what's important to them.
Absolutely. And so going back to your mom came up with legacy. I know that a lot of parents think that their kids are they're gonna graduate college, they're gonna get a job, and they'll move up the corporate ladder, and then you go this entrepreneurial route. Like, what did your parents think you were gonna do out of college, and then you bring this on, and what were their thoughts like, and what values did they instill in you that pushed you in this direction?
Well, nobody knew what I was gonna do. I think, I'm pretty stubborn, so if it doesn't work, I'm gonna try it again, and I'm going and it's gonna work. So, and seeing like my dad started businesses that weren't successful, and then learning, I did actually learn something in college, that most businesses fail anyway within the first year, definitely the first 2 years, most fail. And I realized he just didn't fail enough. So I realized the power in failing. So just go fail more and something's gonna work. And so to me, that, like, I think they knew that about me, that I'm just gonna pound that thing over with a hammer, and didn't work, no emotion about it, on to the next.
Speaking of family and legacy, you have a little kiddo, and he was born when you were competing, right?
Yeah.
You were still a competitor then.
Yeah, very
So
active.
how did having a kid impact how you wanted to compete or how you wanted to shift your focus to coaching? And how does having a kid impact how you, I guess, want to move forward and the legacy that you want to, lead?
Yeah. Well, for one, I'm really glad that happened because it's it's you can lead someone and teach someone a lot easier if it's something you've been through. And so having an infant, I mean, actually, let's see, I competed. He was 2 weeks old, so I was right at the end of my prep at the hospital, asking these people for food, asking people to bring me some egg whites to the hospital, because we were there, I think 4 or 5 days, and then I ended up turning pro 6 weeks after that.
Wow.
Did a couple of shows. I probably did local show, USA Championships, and then 3 pro shows within the first 16 weeks of his life. So yeah, hearing that wake up throughout the night, and yeah, like when I went through that, the days when he was 1 and I was training and him wanting me to pick him up and I'm just physically exhausted. It's 12:30 and he won't go to sleep at midnight. And he's sitting there laughing in your face like, ha, ha, ha. And I'm dying like, this is not funny. I'm exhausted. But just being able to go through that and get through it, it helps me understand where my athletes are at certain times or where they could be mentally and emotionally. And having him, seeing how just fitness in general, I've instilled that in him, and he likes to exercise and do sports, and how important it all ties in together. Makes me really proud to see that he wants to do this stuff now on his own. Not because I did it, but not because I'm telling him to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just being able to see how you can mold him into something so positive.
Yeah, and I remember you telling me this story where you kind of wondered for a second if you were even going to get to do those things, because you guys get to the hospital and then it kind of went off the rails a little bit.
Yeah, very unbelievable moment. And supposedly his grandmother has the video. I still haven't watched it yet. I haven't seen it. I don't even know if she still has, but she was recording. She was in there recording, and it turned to me and was like, okay, Dad, I guess, this is one of those, it's a smaller hospital, so this is something that you can do, and let the father pull the baby out. And I'm like, whoa, I don't even want to hold a baby. I feel like I'm going to break it. You're telling me to pull him out by his head? What if I break his neck or something, So they're having me pull him out, and she's like, pull him out and lay him, so I pull him out, and I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't realize that he's blue and gray and that he's not crying. I don't realize any of this. I've never seen a birth before. So I pull him out and lay him on there, and I don't know what's going on. Then the nurse, and some nurse goes in and out the door, and still no crying. I don't know. And then I realize something's wrong because the nurse is going in and out. And then I see 5 nurses walk in. That's when I'm like, what's going on? It was just silent, and I was just standing there that was never even a thought of something happening and not making it. And I think it was a minute, felt like an hour, I don't know, but I don't even know what they did. I just kind of just went blank. But at that moment, it was man, I thought I was about to be living this life of Little League, being a dad, and now I'm not. That, I really can't even just put in words what went through my mind at that moment. And man, that was definitely something I never want to feel again. That was, and then it was that first reality, which now I've felt a few times, of how scary it is to be a parent. Right? What a scary, scary moment. So wow, that can be taken from you at any moment. That was powerful. But he made it, and he's healthy.
So it all turned out well. He's good. He's active. Dad's traveling all over the globe. How's it been? One, traveling as a coach, and then two, taking your kid to some fun places.
It's pretty cool. He's come to some competitions with me. They are all day, most of them, so they're a little slow. So it's still a little boring to him. Like, he'll be super engaged and he's excited for an hour, and then he's like, "Okay, can we go?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, we got 4 more hours." But that's pretty cool for him to see, like, what dad does. Like, when I say I'm going to work, I'm going to competition, I'm getting on a plane, we're going somewhere, or I'm going somewhere, he knows what I'm doing. And he's okay with it, because I always explain to him, like, "Hey, sometimes we could just go somewhere fun because dad works for himself." Like, yeah, this is why it's important. This is why Team Legacy is important. And this is why it's okay that I have to leave sometimes and go to these places. But hey, we can go, we'll go for 2 or 3 weeks sometimes. If he doesn't have school, we're gone. And I explain to him, like, this is why we can do this, because of the life we live. And I know he's 6 now. He listens, he hears it and understands it, but he can't appreciate it until later. And I'm okay with that, because there's things I told him when he was 2 or 3, he understood it and he's appreciating it now. Right. So that's pretty cool, like, to see, like, he really is a sponge and listening and paying attention. So the traveling thing, he's on his second passport, because he got, I think you have to get it every 5 years. So he got his first passport at 1, and we just got him we just renewed him another one. So that's been a pretty cool process, to let him travel and experience things and see how other people live.
That's awesome. And touching on that a bit more, in all the traveling you've done, what would you say are the biggest differences that you've seen between the U.S. and other countries?
Well, two very significant things is the cost of living, obviously, but what's not as obvious is how conservative people are with money. And seeing that, Americans live off of 99% of their income, or 110 or 120%, versus, you'll go somewhere where the cost of living is low and they don't make nearly as much, but they live off of 50% of their income, 60% of their income. And I'm like, and, so you travel these places, you're in an apartment or a hotel, and I'm like, I'm looking at how these people live. I'm like, yeah, let's see, there's a sink, washer, there's bathrooms, it's clean water, there's a roof, it's a beautiful view. And it's $300 for the month. You go to the United States and you're paying $300 a night for a hotel.
Yes.
With the same stuff, maybe the material's a little different, right? And I'm, it's just, again, the mindset of the people. Those two really, really huge things.
Out of everywhere that you've been, this is very subjective, so it's purely, an opinion. Which country has the best food?
Ooh, probably South Korea.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the cool thing about South Korea, and this is after, I competed there, and then we ate crazy, like we always do after competition. I'm eating all kind of, I couldn't even tell you what I ate. I'm eating everything. Deep fried, whatever. Don't know what I'm eating, right? I'm still eating burgers and all this stuff, but and every day I'm looking at my body, because usually after competition, after about 2 days, you start softening up and bloating and eating shredded, eating 2 days, 3 days. On the 4th day, I'm like, I don't understand. I'm eating until I can't eat anymore. And the next day I look phenomenal. Fly back to the United States. I landed in Las Vegas. I spent the night in Vegas. I had a burger for dinner, woke up. Huge difference.
What? Why?
It's all the additives in our food, all the preservatives. whatever laws, I mean, it's just totally different. Those countries don't allow that stuff in their country. And I have you see that cyst on my wrist?
Yeah. I've seen the cyst.
It's this, and it's gonna get bigger because I was out of the country. When I was in the States, it was about right there.
Mm-hmm.
When I left, it practically went away. Nothing else changed. I was drinking beer every day. I was eating whatever I wanted. I was drinking beer all day, every day. Actually, I was on vacation. I was disappeared. Nothing else in my diet changed. Nothing I was doing with my body was any different. I was eating whatever food I wanted, heavy fat, whatever. Coffee, creamer, all that stuff. Dairy. That you can call it an assumption. I have no scientific studies. All I can tell you is my experience that every time I leave the country eating the same fun foods, body's totally different. And I look great. My friends are like, "You lost weight since the last time you're here." I'm like, "No, I haven't." And then I go to put on a shirt and I'm like, "Whoa, I think I've lost like 7 pounds of just inflammation."
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All righty. And which country would you say is the most beautiful, best scenery, just gorgeous country?
Ooh. I'm gonna say Colombia.
Okay.
A lot of it's a little bit of tropical. So Medellin, the city Medellin, it's beautiful city, beautiful views, but there's also, a lot of mountains and trees and water. The lakes up there are really beautiful, and everything's pretty close in driving distance. You can go an hour any direction, and there's a lot of stuff to do. A lot of beautiful views, great air. Yeah, I love it. Mm-hmm.
All right. And all this traveling you've done, being in the industry for what, 8 years now? Something like that?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. What, if you could change one thing about the industry as a whole, whether it's physique, whether it's the big guys or you get to change one thing about the industry, what is that?
I would probably say the level of awareness. It's the Wild West. So it's, there's not really any formal training. Like I can control what I can expose my athletes to. But as a whole, people have a lot of misconceptions about judging, about processes, about how to approach the industry as a whole. Like it's a lot of what you can, look at politics.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Everyone has an assumption on politics and what they believe is true or not true, or what it should be, or what it is, what it isn't. And it's the same thing. Like it is what you make of it, but it, unfortunately, most people don't understand that, and I think a lot of that has to do with mindset.
Okay. You've done a lot of interviews about coaching. You've done, or even as a competitor, you talk to your clients a lot. If there's one, I'm calling this going forward in the podcast. This is something I'm calling "Could you not?" So if there's one thing you never get asked about again, what is it? So could you not?
From my athletes?
Sure.
Or where are you? Always anyone. Oh, where are you? Like, what does it matter? It's not important.
That's awesome.
Where am I? What does it matter? I coach remotely, so it doesn't matter if I'm on the moon.
Right.
What is it? Doesn't matter.
Hilarious.
So yeah, a lot of time when I do travel for vacation or whatever, even for some shows, I won't post where I'm at months later, 3, 4, 5 months later, I've had athletes message me, "Hey, coach, I know you're on vacation, or can we talk when you get back from vacation?" I'm like, "Not on vacation. I just posted. I'm at home. What is it? We can talk."
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna switch gears a little bit here, and I think I've got all my industry questions done. The rest of this, it's just for fun. Just for fun. Let the people, whoever sees this, get to know Ryan a little bit. I know you're not huge on like TV and movies and all that stuff. You're more of an audiobooks guy. But I mean, are you watching anything? And if so, what you watching?
I have rewatched New Girl seasons on repeat for about 4 years now. That's
So
all I watch.
You treat New Girl like I treat Friends.
Exactly. It honestly, it just puts me to sleep. I cut it on, I'm out in 4 minutes. I don't even make it halfway through the episodes. I really just it just turns my brain off.
Gotcha.
And that's it. I don't watch any. If it's 7, 8, 9, I'm not watching some episodes or something. No.
Okay. So I would assume that's your favorite TV show.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite movie?
Ooh. It's gonna be old because I haven't watched movies in so long. Really love 300, the original 300.
Okay. I have not seen that.
What? Gerard Butler? Come on.
Is that the one where he cries something like,
"This is Sparta"?
"This is Sparta. Aren't you entertained?"
Oh no. That's
Different one.
That was a good one too. That was probably my favorite in high school.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Favorite song?
Oh Lord. Right now, I'd probably say "Universal Soldier." I've had that one on repeat. Probably a Bad Bunny song too. Anything Bad Bunny. I mean, that's pretty much all I listen to. Let's see let me pull up what's the most recent I've been going crazy about. Is Booker T by Bad Bunny. I've had on repeat.
Okay.
Yeah.
And since you're an audiobooks guy, I don't know if this is your favorite, but this is one that I know that you've recommended to your athletes and even to me, and I have not done it yet. But anyway, The Time Traveler's Gift.
Yes.
Is that what that was?
Yeah. And hey, I don't even blame you because my friend had been telling me to read that for 2 or 3 years. And when I finally did it, I was like, I can't believe I waited this long.
What is it about that book that just really like sticks with you? Why is it so important?
I think we all have that voice inside of us that speaks to us. And you can call it whatever you want. Doesn't matter, but it's there. And, that book is just a reminder of no matter where you're at in your life, that you're here, you're supposed to do something. You're here for a reason, and you need to act like it. And a lot of people's problems is we get stuck in our day-to-day stuff where we forget our purpose or that we have a purpose, whether we found it or not. And sometimes it is easy to forget that when distractions come about to work and walk in your purpose. And that book is like, it's just a powerful reminder of like, we need you, like all of us, this whole world,
Well, so give me a brief synopsis of it. Like what happens in there?
Great guy, just going through life struggles, loses his job. They're really, really tight on money. Wants to take his life. He's going fast in a car and speeds off the road. And then he goes into call it a dream. And he gets to see himself in the future and all that he accomplished and how many people he affected and who he was and all the stuff he owned. But obviously if you're not here, if you're not working on your purpose, those things can't happen. But that was like the biggest takeaway. I mean, it's an intense book, you know.
Sounds kind of like It's a Wonderful Life. The movie, the Christmas movie, It's a Wonderful Life. Okay, that's one for you to look up. All right, because it's kind of similar. Who are your ultimate dinner guests? Like the whole dead or alive thing. I'm not going to put a number on it, but you get to have dinner with these folks.
Am I married?
Are you married? I don't know. That's
Sophia Vergara.
Oh gosh.
Of course, Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone. Yeah, definitely one of those two. Probably Gary. I'd say Gary.
Okay. Well, I mean, you don't have to choose just between those. I'm just asking. I wasn't going to put a number on it or make you pick just one.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Yeah, I love that. You know, he's into everything. Sports, super down to earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. He'd probably make my list too. Give me at least one item on your bucket list.
Of course, it's going to be travel, but I've seen enough advertisements from Maldives, enough vacation videos. Yeah, definitely. And I've checked them out, definitely. And then it's not even, it's the travel time. You know, you need 2 weeks. You need 2 weeks for sure, because you lose. It's like a day and a half to get there. Say a day and a half, but it's a lot of travel. It's definitely a lot of travel, and definitely a place where I want to be completely unplugged. So,
okay.
Yeah, Maldives.
Yeah, no,
for sure.
I've seen photos too. It looks gorgeous. Yeah, I want to see the Northern Lights, but I mean, you got to go to cold places for that, right? And
Yeah, we don't do cold.
What's the worst thing you did when you were a kid?
Oh man, the first thing that came to my mind is my brother messing with me, and we were at extended family's house, and he made me mad, and he threw a rock at me. He like tossed a rock at me, and I got mad and picked up a rock and threw it as hard as I could at him. I was probably my son's age. I was probably 5 or 6, so which means my brother was about 12. Of course, I was nowhere near him. Threw it nowhere near him and hit somebody's windshield.
No.
Yeah, I was so mad, just pick it up and throw it, not even looking. Yeah, I remember that very vividly.
And that's when you saw your NFL dreams just fall apart.
Yeah, I was Tony Romo in that thing.
I understand that reference. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I use the cowboy.
I'm not even into sports, but yeah, I understand that reference. All right. So what's the most adventurous or the riskiest thing you've done?
Oh gosh.
Because I feel like traveling alone has got to be up there somewhere, right? Because I'm not no.
For sure. No, for sure. You're exactly right. First thing that comes to mind, in 2017, summer 2017, thought I had my son that night, or that found out I wasn't gonna have him for like 4 or 5 days. And I was like, whoa, I kind of planned on having him. Like, I got nothing to do. So I packed a carry-on bag. I Googled cities in Mexico, or countries. I Googled countries first, narrowed it down to Mexico. This happened took about 15 minutes. Found a city in Mexico, never heard of it, didn't know anyone there. Flew out, did not have a hotel either. Landed for my layover in Houston. I booked my hotel when I boarded my next flight, just booked a random hotel. And I got there at nighttime too. So I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle of Mexico. I've never heard of this place. At nighttime, stayed in the hotel, hung out for the day, and then I took a 4-hour Uber through Mexico to Guadalajara. No plans. I just was booking as I went. No plans. I just Took it, stayed in Guadalajara for 2 days. I hung out with some guys I met in the hotel. Had the time of my life. We hung out till 8 o'clock in the morning. And I'm still in contact with them too. And then that night one of my friends drove me to the coast. So now we're talking like 4 hours to Guadalajara, another 4 hours to Puerto Vallarta. And that was probably got to Puerto Vallarta at 2 a.m. Didn't have a hotel, booked one there. Went to a club as soon as I got there. Yeah. Don't remember walking back to my room. At that point, I was a different person.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And you're alive.
Terrible headache next morning. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yep. Good
All
trip.
right. I got 2 more questions written down at least. When's the last time you cried and why?
Now you say cry. I'll shed some tears real quick. You know, a dog with a movie with a dog in it or something that floodgates, right? And actually, now that I think of it, I did see. Maybe it was Balto or something. Watched it with my son earlier in 2020 sometime one night. Yep. Floodgates.
Yeah. I've had Marley and Me on DVD for years now, and I have not watched it.
Yeah, they'll do it.
Can't do it. All right. Give me one of your mottos for life.
Oh man, do it on your terms and take care of you first. Something I had to just figure out. One of those like popular mantras, but like you can hear things, but until you experience it, it's harder to understand it. Yeah. And so I heard people take care of yourself first, and then I'm like, but I have this, and this, right? And then I realized it got so bad of me trying to put other people first that it had a negative effect. I'm like, I'm trying, but I'm not worth anything because I'm torn down. And one way or another, physically, I'm tired, I'm, stressed out. And so when I just started putting me first, like, hold on, you get you time whenever it needs to be, or get your sleep, then you can be super effective. And I've been so much more effective that way. So much more effective.
Literally why I started this this podcast is because I'm like, okay, the kids are, in school, or at least part-time, and I've got a little free time now, a little more energy than when they were all tiny, or, well, they're all still tiny, but so I'm like, I there's only so much Netflix and YouTube I can watch. So I'm like, what's going to be next? And I'm not a 9-to-5er. I'm like you. I've already done that, and I have zero interest in going back to that. So it's like, what can I do that's going to be something for me? And so if I'm bored and curious, might as well start a podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is going to be great. Yeah,
I'm
and hopefully
very appreciative to have you here with me.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right. Well, we'll talk soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Well, folks, thank you so much for checking out this episode of Bored and Curious. Make sure that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel and give us a follow over on social media. See you next time.